What is Edge? Here's how to think of it as simply as I can explain it. When you contact a server for a serverless function or for a server-side rendered page or something, those servers are usually in specific locations. Take, for example, US West, which is often down when people are streaming, right? And for me in the UK, to make a request to US West, it takes longer than if I was to make a request to like one of the European regions. This means that in order to make your website fast for everyone in the world, you need to have availability on servers all around the world, but know how to route those requests to the closest location to the user's request. With Edge functions, it's done for you automatically. So whenever I make a request to an Edge function on Netlify, it automatically works out the closest server node to route that request to and then give me the data back as soon as it can. When I was doing Battlesnake last year, I couldn't develop my Battlesnake against their development servers because their development servers were on US West and the latency was too high for me to be able to communicate with the Battlesnake server. Edge functions like take away problems like that because when you execute them, they are automatically executed closer to where you are rather than just locking down a region for servers like AWS does. So Edge functions, you can use JavaScript and TypeScript in Edge functions, and basically it gives you the power to like modify and intercept network requests to localize content, serve relevant ads. We all know we hate ads, but I mean, this could be better. Authenticate visitors, A/B test content, and much more. And it all happens at the edge. Basically how an Edge function works, and this is in TypeScript. When you export a default async function, it takes two parameters, a request and context. And there's a bajillion utility functions and cool stuff available on the context object. So let me show you the docs, what you get with context. There's a link to the docs up here. And if you go to the API on here, Edge Functions API, you'll see all the things you get. So a standard request HTTP object comes in with a Netlify-specific context object. And this is the powerful thing. So you have the whole cookies API where you can just do context.cookies.set, get and delete, and geo with all the geolocation information. If you go to this page, the Edge function, the geolocation API, will tell you where you are. And this means that obviously there's probably not a server in Manchester, right? But it knows where I am. The Edge network knows the closest network node to my request and will serve my request from there rather than just somewhere static. I added a very tiny little example on this serve localized content. So if I go to my personalized greeting for country name, if I go here, here's my localized content. My personalized greeting for United Kingdom is how do you do? And if you're in America, you'll get the US one. If you're in Australia, you'll get the Australian one. You've got the JSON convenience method. So for example, if I want to send JSON back to the browser, I just run Context.json. Don't need to do any of this JSON.stringify, JSON path, blah, 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 blah stuff. You just do that. You can do Context.log as well. Console.log still works, but you get a bit more information with Context.log. Context.next invokes the next Edge function in the chain if there is one, and you can do rewrites as well. You can proxy requests to another source. So one of the biggest kind of things that we want to do in our functions is proxy request to another service, to another API. You can just call any API you want using fetch. You could do transformations as well. This is a very basic one, but using parameters on the URL, you can just transform the response however you need. This one is just sending it to uppercase. For example, there's an original response here from /hello, just hello world. And this one uses an Edge function to just turn it into... So you can like stream server rendered content via Edge functions at the edge closest to your users. I think the real world applications of this are going to mean that people get your content faster. And you know what I feel about performance is accessibility. Accessibility is performance. And so I think as well as being super cool, using something like Deno and opening up kind of the serverless function ecosystem to be a lot faster wherever you are in the world, I think you can do some pretty cool stuff. If you wanted to try this out yourself, you can deploy the whole site to Netlify, or you can go to the GitHub repo You can clone it, fork it, or whatever, and run it yourself. It works with Netlify Dev. You need to update the CLI for this to work. You need to be on version 10, but you can just run Netlify Dev. This whole site is served via edge function. This page, it's not a statically generated site. There's no build process. This whole site is working on the edge. If you look at the code for this in here, if you go to pages and in here, say we go home, this is literally just like a layout, right? This is a layout. And the real magic comes from Netlify Edge Functions. So this page here, you import your page as a JavaScript function, basically. And then you look at the URL, the path name that comes in. So example /transform. And then you just call the layout function, which has all that data into it, and render that response as HTML. So this whole site, every single page is served with an edge function just by running a JavaScript function. Every single page is just rendered at the edge. To build this website as well, to build this edge functions example, there is no build process. Look at my package.json, right? There is no scripts. You just push this up to Netlify. Netlify bundles the edge functions and boom, there it is. Push to Git as usual. This is just doing the Netlify stuff, and then it packages all the edge functions up. These are all my separate edge functions. It just creates a deploy upload record, and also every single edge function is packaged up as part of that immutable deploy. So you can go back and forwards in deploys, and there it is. Boom.